Alright, today I thought I'd give my insight on the soul meta levels for Elden Ring. The discussion has been going on a lot, and there's a few things I've noticed. So, first thing I've noticed is a lot of people a lot of people chiming in on the discussion have no clue what the discussion is for. So, I'll give you all the examples of that and then we'll move on. So, the first example I give is people who PvE only. I don't know why they're chiming in on it. PvE at whatever level you want. You're fighting mobs, NPCs. It doesn't matter. Hell, level up past them to, what's the level cap? 700 or something. Go beat them down. We don't care. We know you don't care if you're doing it. Completely fine. Like, go ahead, play that game, use all the cheese, level up to 7, whatever the hell. It doesn't affect the soul level meta at all. Literally, or room meta, as it would be called. But we're going to stick with soul level for simplicity's sake. Second people I see chiming in on it is people who invade, mostly. It doesn't matter for invasions. The only time it would matter for invasions is if you're not getting PvP, but that is completely like in your hands. If you're not getting invasions around 30, level up to 50. If you're not getting invasions at 100, level up to 120 maybe, or level down to 80. If you're not getting them at 150, same thing, go up or go down. Good rule of thumb, have multiple characters at multiple level ranges. That way if you're just having a bad day and everywhere you go to, every area you go to, there's no invasions, which I have not found that problem at any level range. I have characters of all levels. This one here is 54. I have a 145, etc., etc. So that's neither a problem. We wouldn't need to set a range for that. I mean, you just invade where you can invade, and that's it. The third group of people that should not have a say in this at all are the gankers. Like, why? Why does it matter what range you're outnumbering someone at? You have the advantage. Whether you have strength in numbers, whether you're on the skill level of people invading, and it goes back to being invaded as well. Like, people are going to invade you at whatever level you're at, whether you're ganking or not. So, if you're getting invaded, I mean, you don't have to stop your progress. You don't have to stop your levels. You're basically PvEing. So, people invade your world and they're like a 54 like me or something, and you've got a maxed out Count Dooku character. Please gank them, get them out your world. I mean, they're a parasite, sure. I mean, I do a lot of invasions, and I get it. You're trying to go through the game, do your thing, and I'm trying to disrupt that. So while I think neither side is wrong, I still think neither side should have a say on what's going on. Now, who should have a say? Well, the meta is mainly set for duels, 1v1s, fight clubs, things like that. That's why I say none of the stuff before that matters. If you're not participating in that, why are you talking about it? Seriously, like, why? It does not affect you in any way, shape, or form. Why are you having an opinion? I've seen it far too often. For those of us that do, though, there's a discussion to be had. So, I don't think we should go off the previous games at all. That's not to say we shouldn't be the same levels as the previous games, but game is entirely something within itself. I think every game should be taken as is. Right now, I do think it's too early to have something set in stone and concrete. I mean, we're getting balance patches and things like that, but there is a lot of information out there, a lot of videos, a lot of people have done some math and things like that. And it is true, you can have fully put together builds by 120, 125 quite easily. In fact, I've done it. The problem with that lies in that those builds are, they're specific rather. Like, it really doesn't benefit hybrids at all and things like that. So I'm not opposed to it being a little higher. I'm not opposed to it when it gets a bit weird when you get above the 150 range. 150 itself in itself is a pretty huge jump, but it's kind of like comfortable if you want to build balance. Let's say you're going for a hybrid, and a lot of things in this game scale differently. I don't think we should be shooting for, soft caps, hard caps, or things like that. I think you should be shooting to a point where you're doing a comfortable amount of damage with your build without being able to do everything. Damage, defenses. I mean, at what point do you level up and it's no longer a build? At what point have you just should the meta be 717 because you don't have 99 of every stat? I mean, yeah, I get it. Some spells go up to 70, not arcane intelligence and things like that, and you need 70 to wield it, but that's a choice you're making within your build. To me, you're choosing to use that spell. The drawbacks is you might have less health, less stamina, less, maybe you can't fit the minimum requirements to run like a dagger or something like that. And I don't think you should be able to just have 30 outs to everything. These are 1v1s. You shouldn't be able to oh crap, he's a dex build. Let me just swap this around and, okay, now I can hard counter him. Oh, he's a poison, rot, bleed, frost build. Let me swap this around. Now I can hard counter that. Oh, he's a range, faith, caster type build. Let me swap this around and I could counter that. While I do think you should be able to counter everything, I think you should be able to counter everything within your build, not because you made specific adjustments and swap the weapon around or two, or put on some buffs that resist magic or physical damage and swap the talismans around and things like that, or win respect and you know what I'm saying? It's weird. If you're running a 2 longsword build and you don't have the proper range, maybe add a spear or katana to it. Don't just say, oh, well, maybe, and a spear or katana that scales with your stats, dex, or if you're a strength build, strength, or if you're a faith build, maybe one that scales with faith or arcane or a scythe or something like that. Don't just say, well, I'll pump a few more levels into this and I'll be able to use this weapon because I don't want to change anything and I want to have to sacrifice my bleed build. A good example of this is I have well, not me, but speaking in third person, you have a full bleed build. It does lovely. Someone comes up with bleed resistances. You're like, damn, they're really good at tanking the bleed. Maybe I should, level up. I need 40 points in faith. I just want to hit them with a big magic dragon attack. I just want to hit them with a big frost stomp. I just want to blow them away with one thunderbolt without having to change my build. Instead of, they're immune to my bleed procs or something like that. Let me just add another weapon to this, or add another, moveset, or figure out how to play around it, or anything other than leveling up more to get, more out of a build that you don't need to do. You don't need to level up to get more out of your build. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You can do this perfectly with the variety of weapons and skills within the game. And if you didn't build for that, in my opinion, it's time to get good. That's just plainly it. You're not supposed to win every fight, but that's not saying you can't with the build you have. Thing is, as I stated earlier, when is it not a build? When it can do everything. If everybody's running around, regardless of weapon and armor choice, let's just take that out of it. If everybody's running around with 40 faith, 40 dex, 40 strength, 40 health, where's the build? Everybody just, just put 40, 50 in everything. And you switch it up okay, I'm going to take 10 out of this stat and add 10 to this stat, and all of a sudden it's different. It's not. There's no build at that point. But all that said, I'm not exactly opposed to it being a higher level in this game. 150 doesn't sound terrible to me. It's just that I think I get way too many stats at 150. Me personally. You may not think so. And trust me, man, here's the thing. Like, we'll go into invasions, and like I said, this is where people get things misconstrued. And you are getting two-tapped by something like Moonville, or you are getting hit with, like, there's somebody spamming Frost Stomp and Moonville Blades, and somebody spamming Dragon Breath, and you're like, I need to be 150 to survive. Well, I'm not arguing that with you. My point is that the soul level meta, the rune level meta, wasn't made for you. It's for 1v1s. It's for dueling mostly. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused. Like, in a duel with a decent meta, those things won't happen. Like, something that's one-shotting you at 150 or two-shotting you wouldn't do that if the levels were more balanced out. And that's the thing. Like, once again, I can't stress this enough. Invasions, ganks, PvE. This isn't for you. Level up to whatever you want. And I think that's the misconception. Like, people think I'm invading, I don't want to get two-tapped, let me level up, and I don't want to be frowned upon, and that's not it. But if you're joining a legit fight club, and here's the thing, I don't know what's popular on your platform, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, but it's not like you are forced into this. Like, whatever level these fight clubs land at, you can choose to enter or you can choose not to enter. If you don't want to be alienated from them, you're going to have to, commit to that character. But that doesn't mean you can't have multiple characters, I would actually suggest, like, if you like 150, make a character at 150. If you like 120, 125, make a character at that. And if you like both, make something in between, like 130, 135. You can get I'm telling you, you can get a great build at 125. So at 135, you can get a fantastic build. 150, you're borderline doing everything, but you're not doing everything, I would say. So 150 is good as well, but starting to scale up past that, I think past 150 is just nuts. I think past 150 is nuts for anything in the game, to be honest. PvE, invasions, anything like that. Like, you're just a stat tank at that point, in my opinion. But what do I think it should be at? I'm honestly fine for duels and things of such. I'm fine with 135. And the reason I'm fine with this is because you can connect with all parties at this point. Whether it be invasions, you're going to do great. You're going to have a big meta. I mean, you have a big range of people you can invade and things like that. Within PvE, I don't think there's anything that can't be beat at around 50. I went through this game at a level 54 after I went through on my initial playthrough around 120, 125, and I went through with a 54 and a plus 5 weapon. For most of that, it wasn't even plus 5. So I don't recommend it. It's not fun, but my point is, at 135, you're going to do just fine, especially with maxed out weapons and things like that. So even PvE, that's fine. And for duels, you can fight both ranges. And I mean, yeah, 135 versus 150. I mean, you're not totally outclassed, and it's doable. And it's the same thing, like if you're at fighting 125s, they're not totally outclassed, and it's doable. So I think we should settle around 135, but the game is literally fresh and young, and it's ever changing. We just got a patch actually today, but I totally get that, the biases, the tunnel vision. Like, the reason I say it should be that range, because 135 is fine for maybe your dex build, maybe your arcane build, or maybe your strength build. But you come to be a hybrid and you're like, man, I have to level faith and intelligence, and I'm just not going to be as of course you can be viable at any level with anything, but viable and viable are two different things. Like, this is viable as in usable and I can win with it, but against top competition, my build is gimped. Maybe I should take this one to 150. And I get that with a lot of builds. Maybe you're just playing some freaking Highlander, Batman, Superman hybrid build, and you can't squeeze enough stats out of 135. Like I said, builds shouldn't be able to do everything, but I get it. Maybe you want to, like, you have to use that 70 intelligence spell, but then there's nothing left to your build, even though all magic should be available to you at that point. But, you know, all you can do is intelligence and health, and you like, well, this sucks because I really wanted to use this skill that cost, you know, maybe it's 12 arcane or 15 arcane, or they require like 27 faith or something like that, you know. So maybe you want to risk something that costs 27 faith, even on an intelligence build that maybe you need to heal in a duel, which is really risky, but something like that. And I get those arguments as well, but my main point to this video is to give my suggestion on what the meta should be at, and I think 135 is completely fine, and it allows you to invade at both metas. But I'm not the guy. I'm just gonna, you know, join fight clubs or host fight clubs of whatever, you know, whatever the majority thinks, you know. And that's why I suggest, which is my second point, have multiple characters. If you've already leveled up to 200, you've pretty much, you know, leveled your way out of everything. And I was suggesting at the beginning of the game, don't speed level, don't go through it. I get it. Like, it's interesting to level up. Some of these bosses are terrible. You want to get the PvP, you want to do everything, but I wouldn't rush to level on other characters. I would keep one at 30, keep one at 50, keep one at 80. I know it's a lot of extra work, especially if you're trying to min-max, but a good rule of thumb is have a character within the 50 to 80 range and have a character within the, you know, the 100 to 150 range. And 2 characters should be fine, but more would be suggested. My third point in all of this, and the main point I'm trying to drive home, is that people that shouldn't have opinions on this shouldn't really speak on it. Like, you see it too often. I get it, we're all playing the same game, we're all a part of it, but this discussion is mainly for duels and 1v1s to get the most balance out of them as possible. The most balance as possible. We know you've probably went in there, used a Taunter's Tongue, and did, like, literally you could do 2 frost stumps at 150. You can do 2 frost stumps and someone died. Now I get it, you're the super best player in the whole entire universe and you've jumped over the frost stump. You know, Bloodhound stepped through it and one shot them. Or, yeah, but those people aren't really a level of duelist and fight club people. Like, they're not going to be on the level of people who do this all day or every day or have been doing it since the previous games. Like, a lot of those people are just new to the game and learning, and I don't think we should take the experiences we take, like, open world randomly versus something like, you know, predetermined fights and duels and things like that. The skill gap is crazy between the two. So all in all, and please leave your thoughts down below. Like, I don't want this video to come off like it's just a thought piece. I have no clue where this shit's gonna fall at. For all I know, someone could come up with a good argument about why the shit should be 200. I would never go around trying to 1v1 at 200, but I'm not the, you know, not the community. And while I think that's crazy, a crazy amount of stats, here's the thing. Nobody wants to go, when you go to a fight club, the fight club isn't like real life boxing or MMA. In real life boxing or MMA or something, we don't care if the fight's over in 7 seconds or 11 seconds or something like that. That shit's nice. Shit's cool. But in this game, like, that's ridiculous. You didn't even get to play at that point. Imagine you get matched up in a fight club with a Moonveil user. Yes, 1v1 that beam should be easy to dodge, unless you're fighting someone smart where they'll mix it up. Then it's not going to be so easy. But still, 90% of the time you're probably dodging it 1v1. But let's say you get matched with somebody smart and the beam does happen to hit you. We're not talking about whether the beam is easy to dodge or anything like that, or easily avoidable. If you get hit by it, you're blah blah blah, whatever. We get it. Insert whatever rude name, whatever. We're just saying, and this could be anything. This is just easy to use. Pretend, matter of fact, let's just pretend it's the Sword of Night Flame instead of Moonveil, which, okay, that's even easier to dodge. Let's just pretend it's whatever OP thing you want. Whether it be just a regular swing from a great sword, and you get hit, and let's say that procs a bleed, and you're one tapped. Do you feel like you were outplayed? Do you feel like that person did better than you because he managed to hit you one time with the beam or the Night Flame special or some sort of unlimited magic spell or a normal R1? Do you feel like anything was accomplished there? Did you even get the, like, all you did was get hit, which is easy to happen, believe it or not. A lot of people don't know. There is a little latency within this game. Like, it's probably, well, it's all Souls games, but I would say it's about half a second. So imagine you have to do everything half a second later. That's really hard in the heat of battle. Like, your dodges, you know, you are where you were half a second ago. That parry that you think you timed spot on, you actually have to do half a second earlier. That sword swing you're doing, and a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand why did you roll that way when nothing was hitting you? Why did you hit an attack and no one is there, but it still hit that person, or they still hit you? Those are things you have to take into consideration, and that's not something that's easy to learn or adapt to. So in those instances, even in Fight Club, especially everybody's, you know, not everybody, but a lot of people are new and things like that, one hit actually means absolutely nothing. If you get outplayed an entire fight, you just got outplayed. But one hit could just be, damn, that guy was nowhere close to me, but he still got me with a R2 katana poke, or, you know, he still got me with a spear jab that went to the left of me and things like that. So imagine just every time you get matched up, that happens. You get one shot. There's no fun in that, which is why I don't think you should have an overabundance of stats. I think it should be fights. Not to say you can't one shot at 100 or 120, but it's far less likely. And if you're built into that type of build, you're usually one shot as well from most things. Like, it's give or take. You can have a 70 intelligence build with like 50 faith, and your vigor is not level. Your stamina is not level, and you go into that fight club, and if you're lucky enough to get that hit off, they die, and if they breathe on you, you die. And that's the trade-off. I always think there should be a trade-off. I don't think every build should be able to do everything. I think if you make mistakes, you should be punished, but I don't think one-shotting and things like that should exist within the game. Therefore, for the dueling meta, I would suggest 135. Now, I get it, a lot of people have already leveled up to 150 based on the game and things like that. But again, they don't have to change anything. If you leveled up to 125 and don't want to go anymore, that's fantastic. You can fight 135s. If you leveled up to 150, fantastic. You can fight 135s. I think it should be 135 though. And that way we're incorporating people that have played through the game normally. We're incorporating people that want to stick to the old formula. And we're incorporating people within Elden Ring itself at 135. And for the love of everything, if you're invading, if you're PvE, if you're gank swatting, I'm sorry I have to keep saying this, but I just want to just drive this point home. Don't put your input in on this. Don't. Now, if you do these things in addition to dueling, that's fine. Then leave your input. Feel free to. But if you're just like exclusively doing PvE, no. It's going to be so confusing. Like, PvE at whatever level you want. If you're exclusively doing invasions, do it at whatever level you get invasions at. And if you're ganking, come on, man. I mean, you probably want as much stats as possible, so just keep leveling. Keep leveling as long as you can keep getting fights. But I'm going to go ahead and get out y'all hair. That's my thoughts. Feel free to leave y'all's down below. I'm having a blast with this game. I'm going to keep uploading. I'm mostly uploading PvP right now because that's mostly what I'm doing, but I have a few more PvE guides and things on the way, so be out on the lookouts for those. There's tons of secrets in this game, believe it or not. There's things that you wouldn't even think existed, hidden walls, hidden areas, and things like that. So bring more of that to you. Lots of undiscovered things, lots of undiscovered tech. Y'all stay safe.